Greetings and welcome back to Christian News and Views. This is Friday Recap, and so let's get started. On Monday, we talked about Sunseeker. That's the resort here in Port Charlotte, and had an update. And the news article was about the possible sale of the Sunseeker. So, although a local issue, it is also perhaps national in scope because people are coming from all over the country to come to um, Sunseeker. In the this particular article that I read back then was in the viewpoint section. It was an article that was written about it, and it was titled "Sunseeker Resort is not going anywhere." It had some positive information in there. And then I've been there, and I've seen that too. That there seems to be more people there now. Some of them had been scheduled back in uh, October and so forth, and when we had the hurricanes, and they were rescheduled into the first quarter of this year. And so we're benefiting for what was a bad news back in last year. Now made Sunseeker helped Sunseeker out in the new quarter. So, but here's my opinion that I came up with. The whole thing is encouraging news. Apparently, Sunseekers from the very inception, they never meant for it to be a long-term part of their balance sheet. They wanted to get it started, lay the foundation, get it started. Of course, they were hoping for a better first year, but the whole idea was to get it to a point where then they could sell it and have at least a portion of it, and it would be not something that would be of negative value, anything that would hold down their own balance sheet, the airline's balance sheet. And this is so that to find out that was encouraging because that puts things in a little bit different perspective. Now things went bad even before they opened up. They were hit by Hurricane Ian, and then they had hurricanes afterwards, Helene and especially Milton afterwards. And so these are things that are still impacting the resort. But when you put them in perspective, they are starting to show a better occupancy rate. They are starting to see things improve, and that is good. They're trending upward, and so that is something I'd like to see it go higher, and I think it will be if they shift their marketing a little bit. I've said this before. They market it as a destination, and there's a lot of reasons for why they do that. One thing is tied to their airline, so you fly their airline, and they advertise to you as this is a place that we own, and you can go to it. It's a destination. And there's like I said, a lot of positive things about that. However, when I look at it, I see something stronger. Destination is okay to a degree. One thing it's kind of limited by is one, it's limited to primarily to people who fly their airlines, and two, it's limited as far as a family outing. A lot of people when they go on vacations, it's a family affair. And Sunseeker at this point in time only has limited things for the family. Now I have to emphasize family here. Family involves children. So when you go to Sunseeker, they have some outstanding restaurants. I have not eaten in the more upscale restaurants, but I have eaten in the courtyard. And I happen to the one I chose was the Saddle Creek, and I totally enjoyed that. It just I enjoyed it, and I'll probably go back someday to there to eat, um, and that it's just one more. Actually, not just one restaurant because I think there's like 11 restaurants in the what they call Harbor Yards, and so you can pick whatever you want. And one of the great things about that is you can go in there And you can say you had 11 different people in your party. Each one could go to a different restaurant. You all come back and sit down together and talk and so on, and fellowship and all that. I think that's a great thing. So it has restaurants. It has that appeal. And so uh, that on the courtyard area, that would appeal to family values. When you get to the more upscale deals, you get into they have their bars and stuff in there, and uh, the idea, maybe I'm being a prude, but the idea of taking your kids into a bar just does not appeal to me. The very concept of it. And so I just think that that's not something we want to explore, but it is being explored, and people do it. But there's so much more that you need to have for children. Well, shift your thinking a little bit, okay? You go to Sunseekers. You stay there in a very, very nice room. They call them rooms, but I've been in them. Some of those rooms are big enough that you can put an entire apartment in, maybe even a small home. Uh, they are just fantastic. They're a little pricey because they are to upscale, but it's if you can afford them, it's I would say you probably can if you can afford them. It's probably well worth the investment of money. So there's that. You have valet parking, which is something that is good. So you can pull your car up, and they will park the car for you, track it, protect it, different things. And then when you're getting ready, they go get the car and bring it back for you. And so that's another feature that they have. They have all these different things that are geared to make your stay there a wonderful experience in and of itself. But now, build on that and reach out and think of it not as a destination, but as a hub. You have all the things of a destination still involved, but now you reach out and you can go north of Sunseeker and you go to Sarasota, Venice, different areas up. Now you can go well, Tampa is about 2 hours north, 2 to 2.5 hours. So, and if you spend a day there, it'd be a long day, but you could do it. You can go, south. You have Fort Myers. You have Naples and Cape Coral, and you have the different islands. You can go all the way down to the Everglades, or if you really want to, you could probably go over to the East Coast, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and so forth, and back all on the same day. It'd be a long day, but you could do that. What I'm trying to say is that Sunseeker is strategically, not necessarily intentionally, but I think there must have been some intent there, but strategically placed in a very ideal situation. Right here in Charlotte County itself, we have a lot to offer to guests, to people coming to visit. And so there's just so much available that I think that is something that needs to be strengthened. Uh, Destination, okay, but also as a hub. And when you put the two together, that could be a tremendous thing. So I believe it will be more attractive as a family vacation. And like I've already mentioned, all the different places you can go to. So it has a promising future. And we are already benefiting from its existence. On Tuesday, I talked about the penny. And they're talking about doing away with the penny. And my opinion on that was simply this. I have mentioned in the past that there may be times I disagree with the president. This may, I say may, be one of them. While it is true that we live in a credit card economy, not everybody uses credit cards, believe it or not. Some prefer to pay in cash. When you go to the store to purchase items, it is not unusual for the total price to end up less than or more than a nickel. That means pennies. And another thing is, businesses traditionally will price things as so many dollars, 99 cents. or 49 cents or 59 cents. You'll get it? They're always a penny short. There's a reason for this. When people look at that and they say it says 4.99, go to a gas station and the price today might be 3.09. Actually, the price is 3.09.99, which makes it virtually 3.10. But the advertising and the thinking of the customer is, oh, 3.09. They even drop off the 99 cents in a sense, and their view of it is drops down as far as the cost goes. But actually, the cost is a fraction of a penny higher, and they're at the what should be 3.10 in this case. And so the penny plays a very important part in our retail and everything. So I don't know how many people still pay cash, but I suspect a great number. And moreover, as mentioned in the article, pennies play a big role in charities. Children are encouraged at an early age to give. For example, they're taught to tithe or to give 10% of their allowance to the Lord. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Giving towards charities, I have no problem towards that. Pennies are needed. So perhaps there should be a phase out. If they're going to do this, I think it'd be better to phase it out rather than a sudden or abrupt ending. This would give time for charities and churches to adjust. But the truth is that pennies provide an easy and inexpensive way to teach children not only to give, but also to budget and shop. If you move to the nickel, that is going to be 5 times more expensive, thus creating more of a burden than now exists. And you say, well, why 5 times? Because a nickel? This is really profound, folks. A nickel is 5 times 1 penny. It takes 5 pennies to equal 1 nickel. So that's where I get my 5 times more expensive. On Wednesday, we talked about the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. First of all, I stated accurately that the renaming of the Gulf as the Gulf of America is constitutional. It is legal. It is something that the president has the right to do. And Congress, he does not have to have Congress's permission to do that. However, to make it into law, it would be better, and that will require congressional action there. Secondly, I provided a context in which to view this, but I have since come across further information that points out that this change was necessary because there is a need to establish where the waters are American and where international, get the boundaries. When you are at sea and you are pulling into a port or something, you cross from international waters into national waters. And so where does that start? Well, they don't have road signs out in the water. When you get closer in, they might have some buoys and stuff like that that indicate it. So, but if they're going to do that, they need to know where these are and how to put them on maps. Right now, the maps just showing the whole Gulf of Mexico is now called the Gulf of America. As time goes by, you might see Gulf of America being close to the American shoreline, say up 3 to 12 miles out, whereas in the rest of it be the Gulf of Mexico. It could happen like that. So it's not going to be reflected immediately anyhow on maps as far as that part goes. It's already reflected on maps as the entire thing being called Gulf of America. But that could play a role in any legal situations that could come in up in the future, international legal situations. Another thing we talked about was illegal immigration. School districts are facing new laws and regulations that they must comply with, especially in the context of deportations. As I have stated, this is going to be painful. But don't blame Trump. If you feel it necessary to point your fingers at someone like that, then point them at the liberals. They're the ones who open the door, open the floodgates, if you will, to allow these unfortunate people who are simply running away trying to escape from persecution and other things, and to find a better life for themselves and their children. And we welcome them. But there is a proper and legal way to get into our country. So, but the liberals didn't want to go that route. They could have actually increased the number of people allowed, but that didn't fit their agenda. So instead of doing that, they wanted to open up, tear down the gates, tear down the wall, open the floodgates. And so we've had thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, some people put it in the millions of people who have crossed over. And in those millions of people are many who are not the desperate people. They're criminals. And they're coming in for one reason, to practice their trade, which is criminal trade, whatever. It could be smuggling guns, smuggling people, smuggling drugs. It could be murder. It could be anything. But the people to blame for that are not the conservatives. The conservatives fought against it. They want to do it the legal way. The liberals said, no, 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 no. We want them to come in because they were looking at the possibility of getting their votes and so forth. But the thing is, and they dressed it up. So, oh, our hearts are just bleeding for them. Well, if they'd been bleeding for them, they would have realized that sooner or later there was going to be consequences. When you play with other people's lives, as the liberal establishment did, there are going to be consequences. They did this for political reasons, not because they cared. But these illegal immigrants are now going to be deported because of their heartless policies of the Democrats, who should have known that there would come a day of reckoning, a day that the consequences would come. On the other hand, like the criminals that took advantage of the open borders, liberals never really ever think about that end game. They don't think about the consequences. They don't think they're going to get caught. It's a tragedy. It could have been avoided, but it's a man-made tragedy, and now the tragedy is unfolding. There's going to be, in fact, my understanding, deportations have already taken place. But deportation is morally the right thing to do. These people that are coming in illegally are going in and really slowing down the legal entry. And so people who were in line to come in legally, they may have to wait longer, simply because our country is being overwhelmed by the numbers coming in. Now that I understand has really been shut down now, and so things are going to start to right up in a while. But we've been overwhelmed. Our medical establishment is straining to just handle it. Different areas of government and ways of the government works with the people and helps people out, things of this nature, all are under severe strain because of the overwhelming numbers. So it could take months or years to get this whole thing straightened out. On Thursday, we had the resurrection, fraud or truth. And I went through that, and we examined the evidence regarding the resurrection of Jesus, and we learned it is overwhelming. Claims to the contrary are absolutely false. Oh, by the way, speaking of Thursday, I mentioned at the end that maybe we should have a title for that day. So I've been playing with that, and I came up with a lot of names. I narrowed it down to 4 right now. I may come up with some more. But here's what I have so far. Thursday Bible time. Thursday's the Word. Thursday Bible and You. How about this one? The Bible and You. Now those are just 4 options. Do you have any suggestions? I'm more than welcome to look at them. There's no big rush that I have to have a name right away, but it is something I think that would is worthwhile considering, because the Thursdays is now the established day in which I focus on the Bible. Sometimes it's on the Bible itself, just why it's It's inerrancy, it's reliability, um, it's inspiration, uh, and which version is the best version. But I also focus on different aspects. For instance, I focused on the resurrection just now, this past week. I focused on the birth and death of Jesus. Different things in which I focus on, but all related to the Bible in one way or another. So if you have a suggestion, then I would be very much uh, want to see what you have, and then I'll pray about it, and I will come up and come up with a title. And I'm kind of excited about this. I want to see how this goes. But so if you've enjoyed this and you want to subscribe, right down below here you have the option to subscribe. You can also follow. Some people do both. They subscribe and follow. So by subscribing, you not only get Christian news and views, which this is, but you get my other podcast, Becoming a Published Author is Fun. And if I do other podcasts in the future, you'll get them as well. Whatever I do in my channel there on YouTube, you will get. And that's exciting. But not only do you get that, and by the way, Becoming a Published Author is Fun. If you're interested in writing, becoming a writer, that's free advice from me as a coach. I'm sharing things that I've learned or am learning, and I share them with you. They're not as in-depth as the course I've got out there, but it is information you can use, and you can use it right away. And it's free. Well, at least it's free coming from me. And most of the advice I've given you so far, anyhow, has been free not only from me, but it shouldn't cost you anything or very extremely little to implement it. So I encourage you to subscribe, and I will do all in my power to create episodes that will inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. That is my commitment to you, and I look forward to um, seeing you as somebody I visit every week. This particular thing in Christian News and Views is 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And I'm just encouraging you to subscribe, and you get your news, highlighted news from a Christian world view. You have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.